Everybody knows what a survey is, right? A means of obtaining information from a population or a sample of the population. For example, taking a poll to learn who people will vote for in an upcoming election. Okay, so that's how they do their some of the pollsters do the elections, right? What's the problem with this? What's the problem with surveys? As we learned when Trump came in.
They can be very inaccurate.
Yeah, yeah. People can bias. People can lie. They don't tell the truth. So you got to be little careful with surveys. It used to be a really trustworthy way of gathering information, but not so much anymore. Observational study is an examination in which individuals are observed and no attempt is made to influence the result. Okay, who usually makes the attempt to influence results? People, right? So we want human, no human intervention. Okay? Hands off, you humans. Let's see the example here. Observing a group of 100 people, 50 of whom have been taking a treatment, collecting, analyzing, and interpreting data. So watch for that word, a treatment, right? Anybody think of an example of this, like a treatment?
That coronavirus fix.
Yeah, I used the word drugs in my last class, which is poor choice of words. But,
Technically,
but
medication is drugs.
yeah, so the FDA approves all drugs used for humans, right? And many of the drug companies, what they do is they give half the people the drug, and the other half is what we call a placebo, right? Like no drug at all. But the people don't know that. So um, if it's an observational study, uh, you got to have a treatment, okay? And the placebo, like the group that gets the placebo, that's your control group, okay? So you have a treatment and then a control group. Oh, I'm sorry, that's for experiment. Sorry, ignore me. But there's some kind of treatment done, okay? An experiment is where you have the placebo, okay? Half the group, so you're kind of manipulating it, right? You're kind of manipulating here. Manipulating here. You're manipulating by using that placebo. So you still have your treatment group. So you still have your treatment group, right? And then you have a placebo here. That's going to be your control group. Okay? So let's look at example one here. All right, so we're supposed to state whether the situation represents an experiment, observational study, and then we're supposed to identify the control group and the treatment group. If it is an experiment, determine whether there is bias. What's bias? Yeah, an expected outcome, right? Okay, so here's our example. It says find 20 ducks, adult ducks, half which are domesticated, and compare their weights. So what do we have here? Ducks. Yes, we do have ducks. And I went into my whole story about how I love eating ducks. You guys never had duck?
I mean, I had
Wait,
alligator.
what do
We
you
don't have any hunters in the room.
I don't like eating ducks. I like to have ducks. I like to pet a duck.
I mean,
Then I went into my whole story about the guy hitting a turkey across 173. Anyway,
That's also
so
I don't like that.
we're not really, we don't really have a control group, right? We're just comparing weights.
No, it seems like the control group is the wild ducks. 'Cause it says it, right?
That's kind of a stretch. I think this is an observational study because we're just comparing weights, right?
Yeah, but
We do have a treatment, but I agree with you. We do have a treatment,
technically, there's human intervention, but
yeah, that's true.
domesticated, right? But the duck itself doesn't have interventions. It was just raised in a different environment. It wasn't controlled like, hey, we're going to give these ducks this steroids, right? Yeah, that would be an experiment. So this is our treatment. And biased or unbiased?
Unbiased.
I would think there's no expected outcome. We don't really expect wild ducks to
I
be.
mean, they probably expect maybe some type of weight, but
I expect wild ducks to be more
I don't know.
less plump than normal ducks
plus,
or domesticated ducks. Sorry, because they don't have to fight for food.
Um,
Well, wild ducks have to eat.
I don't know. Do wild ducks fight for food?
probably.
Yes.
They died in the
They're
water.
What do you
pretty
think?
scary.
Animal chain, you know. Everybody fights for something.
Yeah. There always has to be competition. Or else there will be too many.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess a
Survival of the
little bit.
fittest. If I'm faster than the other duck, I'll get that.
But it seems to me like there's plenty of food
There's just plenty of food.
for ducks.
Really?
Because they eat a lot of the water stuff floating in the water.
And there's that's giving them bread.
That's
So.
what we think, but
I don't know.
ducks are
You know what? That's a good that's a good question for Mrs. Berry, Miss Berry,
I already have her.
or Miss.
Experiment.
Well, there you go. Ask her.
Go ask her.
Ask
That's
her.
why I know that. That's why I know.
Yeah.
That's why I know what ducks
No.
like for food.
Number two.
Class.
Sorry.
Oh well, they give us the answer. Let's go to the problems here, okay? Because they actually gave us the lesson here. It says find 300 students, randomly split them into two groups. One group practices basketball 3 times per week, and the other group does not practice basketball 3 times per week. After 3 months, you interview the students to find out how they feel about school. What do we have here? I know it's pretty. When I first read that too, I was like, "What?" Huh? Yeah. Through
I guess the survey. Survey/experiment.
we're skipping example two because they have the answer down.
Right.
Yeah, but
Anyway,
I know why we.
Now think about what you're doing here, right? You got 100 kids or 300, right?
So this is
Split them up. Half of them, you're making them do, or not making. Well, they're going to do practice basketball, which is a treatment, right? And the other ones are placebo or control group, right? Very good, Mason. So let's see. One group practices. There's our treatment. There's our treatment, and the other group does not, right? Does not practice. So that's our control. So we have what here? Experiment.
could be also a survey/experiment since they're that
Yeah.
they're gonna
Because they're asking.
how they think about school afterwards.
Um.
The school is being.
Well, you're manipulating them though. You're kind of
You're manipulating what?
by making them practice, right? So it's more of an experiment. Do you think this is biased or unbiased?
Unbiased.
Yeah, I would go with unbiased.
I don't see a way you can bias basketball.
Probably
Okay. Ready for number 2?
Yeah, break.
Find the 100 students, half of whom participated on the school math team, and compare their grade point average.
Now that seems biased.
I've gone around a couple of times with this. Um, when I always teach this one, um, well, what's our treatment here?
Participated.
Yeah, this is a treatment here.
So,
So
any
observation.
action,
Do we have a control group?
compare their grade point.
I think it's just an observational study.
Um,
I don't think there is a control, or yeah, control.
what about the other half?
They're dumb. Well, not dumb.
Yeah, that's going to be your control group, right?
It's kind of similar to like the duck question.
Yeah, it is. Well, not the duck, but this one, right? So, what do you think here?
Observational study. Because it's very similar to like the duck thing, like find 20.
Yeah,
those
compare.
parents.
You see, compare their weights, compare their grade point average. So, yeah. Observational study.
I guess you can.
I would go more with observational study. I mean,
That's literally what we said.
yeah,
Bro,
that's what I would do.
bias?
You think it's biased?
You gotta be a pretty crummy teacher with bias at grade point or grade.
Someone can find a way to bias like grades. Like this term group.
I don't like the
students.
students with F.
Yeah, but
Do you?
It's not necessarily a teacher. You're just pulling the grades. Like I didn't even maybe have them in class, but I'm pulling grades.
Yeah. If it said something like the math team's grades are higher GPA, then I think you can get away with bias. But you're just taking that information.
Okay.
So I would say unbiased.
Makes sense.
That makes sense. Like I don't have control. I don't have
Yeah.
them all in class. I remember math.
I don't know if it's biased or unbiased is what dictates if it's survey or observation.
No.
What dictates that?
Okay, so
Again, in an experiment, you're actually manipulating them. Okay, you're not really manipulating these students. You're just picking them from the math team. Okay? You're not. You know what I'm saying? You're not manipulating them where like you take 100 students, split them up, then you're going to teach this one math and this one not. Okay, that would be experimental. Good questions. That's why I record third hours all the time. All right. And then we have correlation and causation to like confuse you even more. All right, correlation. When one event happens, the other is more likely to happen. Like when the pond is frozen, it is more likely to snow. Causation. One event is the direct cause of another event. Yeah, I guess that would be okay to think it that way. Cause and effect. Turning on the light makes it a room brighter, but that's more of a science thing than a math. All right, let's see. Let's just go to number 1 here. If I jog in the rain, I will get sick. Causation or correlation?
Correlation.
What'd you say?
So,
They're dumb. They're dumb for jogging in the rain. If okay, so if you jog in the rain, you're going to get wet, right? Does that mean you're going to get sick? No. So this is going to be correlation, right?
I was right. I knew
related?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Believe it or not, I get that a lot.
Yeah, what,
I
It,
feel like I'm in English.
and like in geometry too, when you guys are doing proofs and you're going through. We used to do truth tables in geometry, but it's math is, believe it or not about computing numbers. It's about logic, right? And using common sense and logic and guess and check type of thing. Mathematics teaches you logic. Okay, it gives you a process, an organization of how to settle a problem. So just because it doesn't have numbers, we're still using our brains to determine logic, right? All right, so it's correlation, and we have to explain why. Um, just because you get wet, you get sick, right?
Do we have the right sentences for each?
Yeah.
Oh no! Wait, this ain't English class.
hey, yeah, wait a minute. I signed up for.
Unless you can somehow explain it in math term or mathematical computations, I'll take it. But
I could use science
Wet
terms.
plus person equals sick.
Yeah,
what? Just because you get wet doesn't mean you're going to get sick. Okay, number 2. Studies have shown that eating more fish will improve your math grade.
is that true?
Studies say.
Studies say.
But I don't trust studies. Studies
Could have bias. Zach.
Okay, what about those people that don't eat fish? Can they improve their math grade?
yes.
Yeah, so this is going to be correlation again, right? Because people that don't eat fish,
I don't eat fish.
I think I spelled people wrong.
That sounds smart. Oh.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Day, how are you?
Good. In years of presidential elections, if the Colts beat the Bears,
Okay, wait a minute, what?
a Democrat wins the office of president. If the Bears beat the Colts, the Republican wins. That has happened 100% of the time.
Ooh, so that would be causation, right?
Causation or
Yeah.
correlation?
That's,
Correlation.
that
Does
sounds
the
biased.
football game have an impact, a direct impact, on the presidential election?
No.
No.
That sounds biased.
So that's
Yeah, that sounds biased.
That's just correlation.
Ooh. So
So what?
at what point, like say, how many years was this?
It's happened 6 times, so it's a very small sample size.
Very small. So what if it happens like for the next 100 years? Would it be would it turn to causation?
Well, every 4 years.
Possibly. But it's still
Seriously.
not directly tied, but tied.
Yeah. Well, I think then we're going to have a Democratic president because I don't see the Bears ever beating the Colts anytime soon.
But the kicker, what if they don't play against each other
Right.
that
Right.
that year?
Huh.
So it's only if they play in an election year.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stipulations in that.
Just a little bit.
You guys like thinking through things like that. You should take stats
So,
next year.
you know, you're talking correlation, causation.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like you teach stats or something.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
If you like thinking through fun facts, it's the class for you.
Fun facts for Mr. Day today.
Just thought I'd wait until the right time.
It was a great time.
Thank you, sir.
Uh-huh.
That was fun. All right.
Hell yeah, that's the thing to talk
Oh man. I don't know. Maybe if you lose a library book, you will have to pay a fine.
That's causation. Because there's no way of getting out of that fund.
Okay.
Unless you find that book.
Or you're very sleazy.
You know, I found out last hour that um,
Like me.
you can't graduate if you have a library fine.
Yeah, you really can't. Yeah.
What?
Do you have any libraries?
Yes.
Well, you
I'm gonna
better
be screwed.
You either find those
Like,
books.
if you were
Bring in
in
the
like
collections.
elementary school days, you still have to pay for it.
It was in middle school. How am I gonna find those books?
I thought there were like certain
Are they
laws
constantly adding
of
the fine every year?
I know.
giving a student
Or
a
is it like
diploma,
single
and I
fine?
didn't think owing money was a reason
Constantly paying.
to not graduate you.
Late book fines.
If it's gonna be like $50, I'm not.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. Okay, number 4, reading a diet book will make you lose weight.
No.
Eating a diet book.
Eating a diet book, yeah, that's a good one.
Consume the book.
Yeah, you're just reading the book, right? Just reading, it will not make you lose weight.
The last one. There you go.
If I miss a day of school, I will not earn the perfect attendance award.
Depends.
Depends on when you
Or if
That's
you
scary.
have, or if you have like a excuse day,
If you've not missed a day of school,
I used to get them.
like family emergency.
In elementary school, I used to get perfect attendance
You can't miss a day no matter what,
all the time.
right?
I actually, not that I recall, I've not missed
Oh, I
a
used to, I got them.
and wake up. You can never get that perfect attendance.
Missing a day
Johnny, you are the farthest out of all of us to get the perfect.
I only felt like
I believe
equals no, and I say no perfect attendance.
we have like 39.
Let's think realistically. You are not getting that award.
We have like 39 days.
I say we just give it to everybody.
No, then there's no value. behind it.
Owning an expensive car will make you earn lots of money.
It's not stocks. You're not buying the GameStop stocks. Oh, my nose.
If I had lots of money, I would own a 1977 Ford Highboy pickup truck,
I would,
which is not an expensive car.
I would own a Corvette. Red.
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 you think it's funny.
Did you see that Corvette that got totaled on the news? It's right by my house.
Really?
Yeah, Corvette, and it just got.
Did you get a piece of it?
I was saying because it was like he had it all souped up with racing numbers and stripes and everything. I was gonna go there and grab a door or something.
Actually, I did see that.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
It was apparently
But it was
there's
like
accidents.
high speed or whatever?
Yeah, accidents happen there because it's a crossroad. You know, you got Poplar Grove where that you go like 80 miles an hour because there's no cops, right? And then there's these crossroads that they have a stop sign, but so many times people just go right through
I
it,
don't
right?
know why people are so dumb.
Yeah.
They expect, hey, why did this happen? Idiots.
And that phrase right there is false. 'Cause you're in church.
I didn't say that.
But apparently this time there were minor injuries. Usually people get killed.
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah. It's on Poplar Grove Road. There's Squaw Prairie Road. There's Marengo Road. There are cross streets that go. And honestly, there's never any cops there. So people go literally like 80 miles an hour down that road. And then they miss the stop signs and they just. One time, there was an accident at Squaw Prairie in Poplar Grove. And the car was flying through the intersection. There's a house there. It ended up inside the house. If you go by there, it's like all boarded up with plastic and stuff still.
Okay, if you go around at a really fast car, will it damage the car or will it just break the rock?
Depends on who the father
Again, do you have, who's your physics teacher?
Two. I don't,
Chu, S. Chu.
I don't remember
About what?
Ask him about what? No, I took it in middle school.
There is forces behind both of them, and it's got something to do with the mass and
What if you go
what it
big rock?
hits. And
Wait for what?
I don't know. I wish I did. I wish I took more physics.
No,
I only took one physics class.
I only took it because I thought I was going to Six Flags. So I just-
Okay, so your job is, since I wasted all my time talking, just do practice A. So you got 8 questions. Practice A. All right,
So just do practice.
just do practice A.